turn back time to the good old days when the mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out. Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out. We're stressed out.
What's up, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, Gamer55551, and I am back with a video today. No video game review for this time around, a little bit busy and all that stuff. So instead, this is going to be a My 2 Cent video. We're going to talk about 3 stories today. Ghostbusters' poor performance in Japan, the hack of Leslie Jones that we've been hearing lately, and my thoughts on Green Day's comments on violent video games, though. All right. Again, I'll have a link to these have all these links in the description. You can read them for yourself or see for yourself, and so on. So let's start off with the first one, Ghostbusters, though. All right. As according to as reported, or at least according to the Hollywood Reporter, again, I'll have the link there. Ghostbusters unfortunately did not perform well in Japan, though. Supposedly, again, if I'm reading this correctly, though, again, if I'm wrong, you can correct me or anything like that, but from what I understand, it opened at number 4, and it did not earn a lot of money there, despite supposedly them changing the music video, you know, the infamous and god-awful Fall Out Boy song. Don't get me wrong, I like Fall Out Boy, I like some of their songs, though, but after hearing the Ghostbusters one, that was cringeworthy. That was bad. That was literally bad, though. So even despite the change of that, the movie did not perform well. And it's obviously clear by this point and by this time, it is painfully obvious, no matter how many times people are going to defend this movie. And if you like it, that's fine, though. But it's clear this movie is a flop. It is clear that this movie is not... This is clear that there's no way Sony at this point is going to do a sequel. I mean, if they do, it's going to be a giant middle finger to a lot of people who criticize it. And I don't know if the people who invested in this money want to go through that all over again, though. So the question is what to do with the movie franchise now after the performance of the all-female Ghostbusters movie. Well, to me, though, I think there are several options that they could take. Some of the options I've heard floating around is the idea of a soft reboot. In a way, kind of like how G.I. Joe Retaliation was a soft reboot after, you know, how people panned G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra. Same thing with Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadow, how that was a soft reboot over the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie comes out. Although, to be fair, I've seen the Ninja Turtles movie, the 2014 Ninja Turtles movie, and I have to say, it wasn't as bad as people said it was, though. But I did come away feeling like they could have done more with that one, though. But I don't think it was as bad as, say, G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra was, which was bad. That was just bad, though. Anyway, the idea of going the soft reboot route, though, and while that may seem like a good idea, and some people think that it is, I personally don't think that is really a good idea to go with, though. Mostly because the difference between what Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadow and G.I. Joe Retaliation did not have the kind of controversy the way Ghostbusters did. So I think, given how there are reports of these Ghostbusters 2016 action figures are in clearance before the movie came out, to the video game company Fireforge shutting down 3 days after they released their Ghostbusters game, although from what I understand they were also in other issues before they even made this game, though. I think anything tied to the Ghostbusters 2016 movie is just now poison. It's just literally poison. And at this point, I really don't think a soft reboot would be a good idea. At least that's how I see it, though. I think the only option, I think the better option, although there aren't a whole lot to choose from, I think one of the better options is to either try to salvage Ghostbusters 3 and see if they can do that movie, or do a complete do-over, literally a do-over of the Ghostbuster movie, though, all right, and have nothing to do with Ghostbusters 2016, because I just can't see them. It would be incredibly stupid if they went through with a sequel or soft reboot. I mean, there is so much poison in that movie. It's not even worth it. I just don't think. I don't know how many people want to go through the whole headache that we've seen through without this whole episode with the Ghostbusters movie, and it's going to tie into my other story as well. So, for me though, I think either a do-over or trying to see if they can go forward with Ghostbusters 3, maybe change certain things around, but try to go forward with that one more than trying to do a soft reboot, in my opinion. But in either case, whatever decision they make, I think they need to stay as far away from Ghostbusters 2016 as possible. They're going to have to really re-examine this, though, okay? I mean, if they're going to really push forward with this so-called Ghostbusters Echo Force, and if it's true that, if the stories are true, though, that Ivan Reitman and Dan Aykroyd have now full control of it, though, then I have to say it cannot tie into Ghostbusters 2016. I mean, people are not going to me, it's coming off lately that no one wants to touch Ghostbusters 2016. I think if they're going to run with Echo Force, then they have to distance itself as far away from Ghostbusters 2016 as possible. I mean, no one wants to touch it. That's the bottom line. So it's very tough where the franchise is right now, and it's very sad where it is at this point, because I grew up watching Ghostbusters, though. But unfortunately, you know, again, I do agree Sony does share the blame. They did help create this kind of situation, though, okay? Yes, I think the right deserves blame as well for pushing the racist and sexist comments, but Sony itself is not off the hook under any circumstance, okay? They chose to bank on the controversy. You know, Todd Rodman's, oh, yeah, we won all the controversy, bring it all over here. You know, the whole any publicity is good publicity argument, which doesn't always work all the time, all right? And obviously, I'm hoping Todd Rodman's kicking himself after realizing that perhaps, yeah, that was a stupid comment to make. So, bottom line on this part one of my 2-cent video is that I think either a reboot, a do-over, or trying to see if they could save Ghostbusters, or try to salvage Ghostbusters 3, in my opinion, is the way to go. I think a soft reboot would be a mistake, and if they're pushing forward with this Ghostbusters Echo Force, to me, they have to distance themselves as far away from Ghostbusters 2016 as possible, because I don't think that is now poison. That should not be touched under any circumstances, though. Okay, this concludes part one of my video. I'll take a little break. When we come back, I'm going to go to part two. I'm going to talk about the Leslie Jones hack, as sure most of you have been aware of right now. So, take a little break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part two of our video, of our My 2 Cent video, though. For the second part of our video, we're going to be talking about Leslie Jones. I'm sure most of you are aware of. If not, I do have a link in the description. You can read it if you want to take a look at it. Is that Leslie Jones recently has been hacked, though. Supposedly a lot of information has come out from this hack, ranging from her passport to supposedly nude photos of her. Why, if this is true, why Leslie Jones would do nude photos in the first place is beyond me. Then again, there are a lot of people who would post stupid stuff, you know, like saving in clouds or anything like that. It's like, in either case, I think the nude photo thing's unnecessary. But or at least the ones that Leslie Jones doing nude photos is just really like, why would you do these? Why would you do these? So, but anyway, putting the nude photos part aside for just a minute, though, I think that, to me, while I certainly think we can all agree that the hack should never happen and should fully condemn it, both sides should, though, don't get me wrong, I do think it paints a much bigger picture, or at least how I look at it, though, and that is, this whole Ghostbusters controversy is really starting to get out of control. To me, though, it's gotten to the point where we've seen harassment from both sides. I'm pointing out both sides, but I've also seen it now turn into what I view as sort of now become a Gamergate kind of a situation. For those who are unfamiliar with Gamergate, although I'm pretty sure by now you do, if you aren't, I do have links in the description so you can take a look at it. Though, or these are articles and videos that I actually agree with, so they're my opinion, but you could take a look and see for yourself, though. The whole Gamergate, supposedly the whole original purpose is about the argument of ethics in journalism, or, you know, disclosure and all that stuff, and supposedly ending so-called corruption in game journalism, though. Now, I'm not against the argument of ethics in game journalism, or the decision, or the argument that there should be disclosure. I don't disagree with that argument. I do agree that regardless of whether you're a blogger, writer, YouTuber, regardless of whether you have friends in the industry, regardless of whether you're a paid YouTube sponsor, doesn't matter which one it is, I do think disclosure should be given so that people can make a fair and judgmental decision whether they agree with you or not. There's nothing wrong with that argument under any circumstances, though. The problem I have with Gamergate is that it has been used by many, mostly a lot on the right, though, not everyone on the right, but a lot, who have used the hashtag in a way to harass people, to harass, you know, particularly women, though, whether it's female gamers or female game developers, though, and use it to go after them, portraying them as they're all evil SJWs, or they are all basically, you know, like anti-Sarkeesian. I mean, for crying out loud, I'm a left-of-center kind of person. I'm a gamer, I'm left-of-center, I support women's rights, but I'm not a fan of anti-Sarkeesian in any way. In any way at all, though. And I feel this is what Ghostbusters, the whole Ghostbusters controversy has turned into, and it's really starting to get out of hand. And I think both sides need to tone it down, and they need to stop. Just stop with the harassment. Stop, okay? Look, the right needs to understand that there are people on the left who may like this film, and that's fine. And there are also people on the left who may not like this film, all right? So just because they're on the left doesn't automatically make them an evil SJW or an evil feminazi, as they like to point out, or anything like that, or pull that whole, you know, if we criticize their take on it, to pull the whole political correctness argument. I know, I mean, I got targeted by two idiots on a comment in one of the YouTube videos when I mentioned that I support Hillary Clinton, and yet I criticize this movie myself. I don't agree with it, okay? Hell, I don't agree with the decision for Paul Feig and others to say we broke the glass ceiling, though, first, and all that argument, you know, a take on Hillary Clinton's glass ceiling argument she made at the Democratic National Convention, though. No, I mean, to me, that sounds more like an attempt to try to get Hillary voters to go see this movie. Well, or Hillary supporters. Well, I'm a Hillary supporter, and I have no desire to see this movie, okay? I wasn't impressed with this movie at all. I wasn't impressed with the trailer they saw, okay? The bottom line is the right needs to stop accusing everybody on the left as an evil SJW like we all support this movie. Not everybody does, okay? At the same time, the left, however, needs to understand that not all criticism about this movie is like sexist or racist, okay? There are legitimate criticisms, okay? James Roth of the Angry Video Game Nerd, though, basically made his point of why he did not want to see this movie. And while I may not 100% agree with his opinion, though, I don't think it was either in any way racist or sexist at all. And I do condemn basically those who went after his wife and his family. I also do not agree with the comment that everybody who criticizes this movie is a Donald Trump supporter. Now, I'm no fan of Donald Trump, and I said this in my Ghostbusters controversy video, though. I'm no fan of him. After all, he is an Adolf Hitler, Jim Jones wannabe, nor am I a fan of his supporters, but I do not believe everybody who has criticized this movie is a Donald Trump supporter, okay? I mean, Okay, and I also think the left needs to accept the reality is that this movie flopped, okay? The movie flopped, and Sony screwed this up at the same time. Yes, the right added fuel to the fire, but you know what? Sony also started the fire as well, okay? The point is, both sides need to tone it down, and both sides need to end this harassment, okay? No one, you like the film, fine, you like it. You don't like the film, fine, okay? I hope that we can end this whole thing right now, and I think this whole hack attack on Leslie Jones is an example of how out of control this whole Ghostbusters controversy really has, okay? She doesn't deserve this. She doesn't deserve to be hacked or anything like that, okay? You know what? If you liked her in Ghostbusters 2016, that's fine. You don't like her, fine. But she does not deserve this under any circumstances. And I think it should be condemned to the fullest, okay? You don't have to agree with her views. You don't have to agree with anything like this. But this kind of behavior is unacceptable, alright? Bottom line is, this needs to end. This needs to stop once and for all, okay? Just stop, okay? Give it a rest. The Ghostbusters movie's done. It was out in theaters. It did its course. It did not perform very well. Some people like it, some people hate it. Fine. Let's all move on with our lives, okay? Can we please do that? I highly doubt, but here's the hope, you know. Alright, this concludes my second video though, my second part of my video, I mean. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the last part, which is Green Day and their thoughts on violent video games, which I thought was kind of interesting though, so I decided, so when we come back, I'll talk about that, so we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our story, our last part. This one we're going to be talking about is Green Day, the band from, one of the bands I'm a fan of from like the 90s and everything, and a comment they made about violent video games. Now, I didn't really get into Green Day until later in my later years when I entered high school though, okay? Some of my favorite songs I think are Longview, Welcome to Paradise, Let Yourself Go, Holiday, Boulevard Broken Dreams. I even like the song they did, like The Saints Are Coming, they did with U2. They played that, I think, at the Superdome in New Orleans, if I'm saying the name correctly. Pardon me if I'm not, though. You know, as the reopening of that after the 2005 Hurricane Katrina hit. So there are some songs that I like from them, though, okay? And like any celebrity, there are some celebrities I agree with and some of them I don't, okay? So it depends on what their views are, though, okay? For examples of celebrities I won't agree with is like, you know, Tom Cruise's infamous famous Ritalin campaign, or those who are against vaccinating your children or anything like that. Or even Dennis Rodman claiming that North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un is like a great guy or everything, ignoring, you know, North Korea's abysmal human rights record and so on. So depending on the view, sometimes I'll agree and disagree with them. Or Clint Eastwood's outrageous comment about today's generation though, which I think is a load of crap to begin with though. And well, while I like some of Green Day's music, I do have to disagree with a comment they recently made. Some of it about violent video games and other comments about mixed martial arts. According to this article though, and again, the link is in the description though, bassist Mike Dirnt, if I'm saying his name correctly, pardon me if I'm not, made a comment saying, "My kids are going to grow up seeing things that I never saw, like mixed martial art, MMA, or you know, the whole UFC cage fighting though. When they first came out, people were like, oh fuck, that's fucking violent," which is true though. And now they play it in TV and restaurants. I'm supposed to eat and watch this shit wherever I go. Nothing makes me more hungrier than watching two guys in weenie bikinis kicking the shit out of each other. Now, first of all, I would like to say though, I'm not a fan of mixed martial arts though, okay? Or UFC or the whole cage fighting thing. I never really got into that stuff. There are people who are, and you know what? and you know what? If you're into that, that's fine. That's fine. It's not my thing, okay? But if that's the kind of thing you're into, then you know what? Good for you if you're into that kind of stuff. Hell, that's fine though. But as far as, but I do have to disagree with him on this, okay? I've eaten at restaurants, whether it's Buffalo Wild Wings or any other places that have mixed martial arts on, and to me it's like, it's no big deal. It doesn't disrupt me eating my meal or anything like that, though. It doesn't bother me if they're showing that on TV or anything, okay? Does it interest me? No. But I really could care less if they're showing mixed martial arts or UFC fighting or anything like that. So, hey, I'm not bothered if they show that on TV by any chance, okay? Hell, there are some Marines that are not, there's some Marines that I know where I work, though, that are not into that kind of stuff, and that's fine. Hell, there are some that are into the whole Dragon Ball Z or the new Dragon Ball that came out. I'm not into that as much, okay? So, I don't have a problem with showing mixed martial arts on TV. I don't know why this person has an issue with it, though. I certainly don't, and I certainly don't think it bothers me, though. He also continued adding that video games are now different now too. You actually in there shooting and killing people, and that's got to take a toll, but I don't have the solution though. And then he goes on talking about singer Billy Joe Armstrong reveals he believes Donald Trump is even more dangerous than George W. Bush, who claims that U.S. president helped inspire their American Idiot album. I like some of their songs off their albums, though. Armstrong said, Bush was an idiot, but Trump is an absolute crazy. The guy won't listen to people when he makes decisions. You can see it already. He just says whatever he thinks right that second. It's a self-serving rhetoric, and it's scary. Now, I will agree with them on the Donald Trump comment. I do definitely agree with that, though. Donald Trump is crazy, and he is a lunatic, and he is a very dangerous individual. So I do agree with them on that part, that specific part, though. The violent video game part, no, I don't agree with it. To me, though, this is an argument that we've heard time and time again, though. Both sides have used this before. We saw it used, the whole blaming violent video games after the 1999 Columbine school shooting, though. We've also seen it when it was used, particularly after the Newtown shooting, as a sort of a way to turn attention away for the fact that our gun laws really do need to be overhauled, and there needs to be some changes to it, though. Though the NRA pulled this, so did Fox News as well, though. So, but to me, I just feel this is an old argument, and that this whole argument needs to go, okay? We are at a point in society now where video games are not this kid's only product anymore. Don't get me wrong. There are kids who still play video games, and I'm not saying kids don't play video games anymore or anything like that, but it's not the kids' only product that it once was. It has evolved. It has changed. More and more adults are getting into video games more. Hell, more and more women are getting into video games too, as well. There are some female gamers I know. When I go down and buy a game at GameStop, some of them are gamers as well. Some of them are even, somehow were enjoying the game Doom when that came out, for crying out loud. So, to me, I think the whole mixed martial arts and the violent video game thing, I think some of it has to do with that society to some degree has changed a little bit, though, alright? So, I think the thing is that mixed martial arts has now become the new norm, though, and has gained, the popularity that it is. Same with UFC and everything. Again, not a fan of it, but I'm not against it, though. Same with violent video games. I've been playing video games for a long time. I've played many different kinds of games. Some violent, some ultra-violent, though. And while this guy, the member of Green Day, I think Dirnt, if he doesn't want to buy these games for these kids, that's fine, and that's his call. He can make that decision if he wants to. But I just feel this whole violent video game argument, in my opinion, is starting to get old. And I think it's time it needs to be put to rest once and for all, okay? We're at a point, like I said, we're at this point where video games, not only video games, certain movies, comic books, cartoons as well, it's not this kids only product anymore, and I think people need to get out of that mindset. I also think they need to stop using video games as the scapegoat, okay? Not every video game is violent, though, okay? And those that are violent, not everybody is, there are people who can separate reality from fantasy, though. Are there people who can't do that? Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, there are people who can't do that. But the majority of gamers, I believe, can separate the difference between reality and fantasy. And I also believe the majority of those gamers also have a life. They also work, they have a family, and do have a social life as well. Hell, another example I could give is some of the Marines I know who I work with are gamers as well, too. And not all of them play Call of Duty. Yes, some of them do, but not every single one of them. So the bottom line on this is I really do, outside of the Donald Trump comment, which I agree with though on them, I do think the whole video game argument and the whole violence in the media argument needs to be put to rest, okay? The bottom line is violence and sex is not going anywhere, okay? It's been with us in the beginning of the time. It has come in different shapes and different forms and medias, though, and I don't see it going away anytime soon. It's still going to be here no matter what, though, okay? Yes, everyone's going to have a different taste. Some are going to like it, some don't, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I think the argument is it needs to be put to rest. This whole violent video game argument, I think, needs to be put to rest once and for all. Anyway, this concludes my 2 cents video on 3 of the stories I talked about. Green Day, let me see if I clicked the wrong, oh, here we go. Green Day's comments on violent video games, the Leslie Jones hack, and Ghostbusters performance in Japan and what should happen to it, alright? And again, these are my opinions. But what are yours, though, alright? Do you think a soft reboot is the right way to go for the Ghostbuster franchise following the poor performance of Ghostbusters 2016? Or do you think a complete do-over or trying to salvage Ghostbusters 3 is a better way to go? Do you have confidence in this so-called Ghostbusters Echo Force? Do you have no confidence in it, though? I mean, do you agree with me about not doing a soft reboot? Do you disagree, though? And what about the Leslie Jones hack? Do you think that this whole situation is tied into the whole Ghostbusters controversy? Do you think it's gone completely out of control, or do you don't think it's as out of control as people claim it is? Do you agree with me on that refers to this whole Ghostbusters controversy as Gamergate? Do you disagree with me on that? And finally, Green Day's comments about, violent video games. Do you think they have a point to their argument? Do you think they are going a little bit overboard on it? Same with the whole mixed martial arts comment as well. As always, sound off on the comment section. Let me know what you think, though. I hope you like my video. I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button. And I hope you do subscribe to my channel. And, of course, feel free to share this video if you want to. Alright? It's afternoon in Southern California, so I want to say for the rest of you, I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully it will be soon, but who knows when, so hope to see you again next time. So from Southern California in the afternoon here, though, almost 3:50 here, though, so from Southern California, I will say I will see you again next time when I do another video then. Bye!
Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out. Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out.
Used to play pretend bunny. We used to play pretend, wake up, you need the money. Used to play pretend bunny. We used to play pretend, wake up, you need the money. Used to play pretend, give each other different names. We would build a rocket ship and then we fly far away. Used to dream of outer space, but now they're laughing at the face, saying wake up, you